Thank you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to
So,
record. Start
thank
again.
you. No, you're good. You're good. Thank you guys for taking your morning to come and listen to me. This is great. I love meeting other people in the industry, especially since I am on the West Coast over here in Phoenix, Arizona. We are huge and booming right now in logistics and manufacturing and transportation just because of where we are with our borders. So I greatly appreciate you all. So a little bit about me. Yes, Danon Kirby is actually also my partner, and it's been a great partnership, and we just developed that naturally. So we kind of divide and conquer, where he's in Nashville, helping build out some of our truck parking lots and looking for new spaces, and I'm over here in the West Coast, so it works out really well. Um, so a little bit about me. I did not come from real estate. I didn't come from logistics. I really just learned everything on the fly during COVID. I decided to leave my corporate job in life and health insurance because I was very bored. Decided to invest most of my money in my first development project. Again, 27 years old, not knowing anything about development, real estate, building. Took this lot, saw it online, and as I dug deeper, I realized that it sat next to a really big rail line. So Union Pacific was the owner of that rail line, and during that time, logistics and our supply chain was crumbling. And so I read a lot more about it. Uh, just self-taught, spent hundreds of thousands of hours reading about everything I could, understanding rail. And I made a call to Union Pacific and asked them, hey, I want to purchase this lot. I don't know how to do it. And so can you help me? And they were actually really receptive. And so that was kind of how I started my path down wanting to focus my niche in real estate and development in logistics hubs, rail served facilities, and then that kind of trickled into truck parking and this idea that I had to create a more heightened idea of what it means to be a truck driver and that physical and quality of life for them on the road by building truck parking plazas. So having all the amenities that they need and not just truck parking, but starting with just truck parking is the easiest, barrier of entry. And so going on that, I'm sure some of you guys know the stats, but the more I read about it, it was, we lose about $100 billion economically because of the truck parking shortage. Drivers park randomly wherever illegally. And if you equate that, that would be as if all of Amazon just didn't exist. And there was a point in time where Amazon didn't exist. But right, you take $100 billion in our economy, and that's what we lose because of the hour-long process it takes for them to look for an appropriate parking space. And if you take 1 in 11 trucking spots, you do the math, it ends up adding up. And that's why a lot of our supply chain issues get, backlogged. And because of that, and not just because of rail, but a lot of the issues is having to do with truck. So I kind of just want to go over a little bit about basic guidelines of where to start in building a trucking lot. People want to do 1 or 2 acres, as Diane and I were talking before. And it sounds great, but really the best place to start would be 5 acres, because if you want to be conservative, you can fit about 100 trucks in that, but typically you can do 125 if the site selection is right. And going on that, if anybody is interested, my partners and I have created a great software where we can actually take a site, process it for you, look at the feasibility, tell you exactly how many spaces can fit in there, and if it is really worth your while and how much the margins are going to be and the pricing that you could charge per space. So you know right out the gate how much revenue you're going to get. And that really takes out a lot of headache for people of searching that. So my contact is in the chat. So please feel free to email me if you are interested or have any lots that you want me to look at. Because a lot of people, I think, could have saved a lot of time if they knew, right, that location in any real estate deal is the key. So you have your first, secondary, and tertiary markets. First would be inner city, but a lot of those lots are already taken or extremely expensive. So I would suggest to steer away from that unless you have a lot of money. Secondary is great because it's on the perimeter, it's still emerging, and you can have easy access to the main interstates. But I have actually been focused more on the tertiary ones because the cost is a lot lower and you're going to create a new destination. While it will take a little bit, but it's less competitive, I think. So focusing more on the rural areas, but you're still near a massive interstate or the ability to merge into it. Uh, because it is important that like drivers will still look for spaces, but they don't want to go too far out of their route. But if they're smart, they will pre-route plan to know how much time it's going to take for them to go off into a tertiary market of truck spaces. Uh, and with that, it's so we all know that truckers have to spend a certain amount of time resting, and they don't always, and so they get fined. And so they're the biggest thing now is building something that is usable and safe. And with federal regulations and guidelines, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a emerging rate of being able to tier out how people build truck parking lots. It's more than just a dirt lot and a fence. Right, you have zoning, you have special use zoning usually that you have to go through. You have to do a traffic and a highway and an environmental study, and those usually take a little bit of time. And they ask that because of the amount of weight that it takes for a truck to park there and the dust that it kicks up. So typically, if you're in a rural area, there's nothing but dust. And so as they start looking at the guidelines and how they're going to rate some of these lots, it's a how are you building it? And I suggest that you focus on the emerging trend of building it within the federal tiering, than just saying, I want to get it up and running and be as cheap as possible, because then you will get outrated, and the ability to get your lot filled will be impossible. And on that note, a major hurdle that people don't realize is okay, so you have this lot, you build it, it's within federal guidelines, it's awesome. Now what? You need an operating partner. Unless you yourself want to be the operating partner, it's a how do you get the spaces filled? Who's going to run that software? And also, unless you yourself are a large logistics company, you don't have the bandwidth or the funds to do that. So me and my partners, we actually have a national operating partner that we work with that does everything remote. And so they book the spaces for you. It's kind of this hotel model where they book it the same day, or you have a monthly subscription, and then you get the money instantly, once it's booked. And that's a really nice part is you have the lot, it's built, the revenue is pretty instant. It's not a standard real estate play where you have to wait a long time. They sign the lease and the tenant comes in and then you get the money in tiers. It's every space that is booked, you get that into your account. And that's a good selling point for funding. And the second largest hurdle that people will come into is how do you get funding for this? It is actually pretty difficult because you are creating a new asset class where people get a little iffy, especially right now in a very shaky economy in real estate. Investors want it to be simple, they want it to be clean, and they want to understand it. People don't buy into stuff that they don't understand. And so the easiest selling point is, hey, yes, it's a lot. Here's what this looks like, but you're going to get money instantly as soon as it's built. So the faster we build it, the faster you will get your money back. And uh, the starting point would just be the truck parking. But where I have developed and added on more ancillary benefits is creating a whole plaza around it. So if you allocate 5 to 10 acres for just truck parking. Like, so my lot is about 40 acres. I'm going to allocate 5 to 10 for the truck parking, but I want to add in fueling aspects because that's important. You want to add in a weigh station, you want to add in a convenience store, shower, sleeping, tech hub, um, all those amenities, car wash, truck wash, mechanic, because if they're there, they're already there. So you might as well handle all of their needs. And then that creates another type of revenue where now you own the whole plaza and you have other tenants and you have other vendors and partnerships that you can create. And so that then becomes your typical industrial development model where you're bringing that in. You get the land lease or the long-term lease from, let's just call it O'Reilly's Auto Parts, right? They handle the trucking, and that's great. So now you, as the owner of the lot, and you and your investors are making additional money from a tenant lease. But what is anchoring that is the continued overnight or monthly uses of those space. So it's definitely a phased out type of development if you choose to go the route of building out a full truck plaza. um, let's see what else, Diana. I feel like I talked a lot, and then I don't want to miss anything. So is there any
Yeah,
questions that you think that I should?
so I just want to clarify one thing. You mentioned asset class, and for the good of the order, the asset classes that bankers love are things like office, hotel, hospital,
They're easy.
retail, the things that we all know. And so when you said you're developing a new asset class, this is, what do you all call it? Do you call it industrial outside storage?
We call it truck parking.
Okay, truck parking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because you think about, it was like when RV spaces started coming, and that was a hard barrier of entry for them. And so it's the same model. So when I go to speak to people, I say, well, just think about how RV spaces used to be a thing. It's just that.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's a car, whether it's a truck, whether it's an RV, a boat, you're still parking something. And so it's that revenue model.
And so I wanted to further just kind of highlight that I know it's really hard for bankers to wrap their head around developing dirt,
Yep.
right? Because they really want to see a thing on it, or else they feel like it's just dirt. And so, um, is there money out? Are there particular lenders? Are there particular types of lenders that understand and love this kind of asset, or is there federal money? Like, where's the support for this kind of thing?
There is, and it's usually within our industry for somebody to see the vision behind it and not just see it from a strict real estate investment portfolio ad. You need somebody that's in the industry and understands that it is a slight build and they will come. Because it needs to be built and people will go there, right? If there's nothing there to be had, then that's why they're illegally parking right now, and that's why there's this shortage across the nation. So uh, really, um, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, before you get it back, I did have one more question, and that was around, you had mentioned federal regulations. Can you give some examples of some things that are going to be regulated that you have to be mindful of?
Fencing, security is going to be the biggest one. Lighting, but fencing and security because of the uprise and the continuous uprise in rate of theft and crime. Organized crime in logistics and supply chain is getting extremely, um, like, they're just elite with it. They're taking the batteries out of trucks, replacing it into their batteries, and then truck drivers can't even leave. And each truck, right, has their EDL. And so that's become a big thing. But people, if you create more barriers for them and more of a hassle for theft, they're not going to want to do it. And so having 24/7 camera access, and front facing ones into the main entrances, one way in, one way out, that's easier. of course, recording. And that's why we're testing out the remote access where a driver books it and we have all their credentials and they get that code that one time and nobody else gets it. So that way we can track exactly who's coming in, who's coming out. And but they get they get more skilled at it. And so they come in and they somehow can remove the hinges and take all the stuff and somehow nobody sees anything. But that's because right now, not a lot of truck parking lots have that high security. And that's why federal regulation is upping that. And so if you become a class A lot, that means you have all of those things and you're high security, and that's what's important to them.
Mhm.
And the better the build, the more money federal will pour into you.
Yeah.
Uh, right now, our government is shutting down a lot of grants, as we all know. So I would veer towards the route of private funding and finding somebody that truly believes and understands why this is needed. And that is a large hurdle. Um, there are
How,
people out there.
yeah. How much do you think what do you estimate it costs to develop let's suppose it just doesn't have any trees on it, for one.
Yep, it's just a lot.
Let's suppose it's
And
flat, doesn't have any trees, and it has utilities. It's a perfect site.
okay.
Right? So no complications. What should be a bottom line cost we should have in our heads to get the surface ready for trucks? Because I assume it has to be cement. So what does that cost per acre, or how do you,
hmm
yeah,
I would say if you're gonna do 5 acres, close to 1 million.
per
uh,
acre?
con- no, just total.
Maybe, okay,
Like,
about
yep.
200,000 an acre.
Yeah, to be conservative, and that leaves a little bit of room. So, or 1.5 if you really want to give it a large uh, cushion for construction costs and time. But here are some actual ways that you can cut back on some of those construction costs. So earlier, I'm going to give Jamie Green a shout out. So this is a smart way, and it doesn't have to be concrete. Actually, concrete is not the best solution because you will have to maintain it. It will crack, and it's very expensive. So you want to pack it with like AB asphalt gravel. And Miss Jamie Green here, she runs a hauling um, site and construction material, I believe. So what I've gone in the trend of is actually going to those construction sites that are demoing or knocking down buildings because they have to uproot their foundation. And then where do they take it? They have to take it somewhere, and usually somebody's not buying it. And so if you create a relationship and a partnership with those sites or those, people early on and say, "Hey, I want to take this gravel, I want to take this foundation, just dump it on my site." All you really need to do is just pay for the dump fee. And then you're actually helping them because now they don't have to pay for the dump fee at the landfill or wherever they are doing it. You're trading in, just saying, hey, just I'm not going to charge you, I just need it, but I will pay you, whatever the hauling fee is. And they're usually pretty like, okay, it's got to go somewhere. And so that is a great way for you to cut cost on the actual foundation. And so then if you can find another person, right, your hire a GC, they can break down that material and then they can use that already quality because it was once asphalt or it was once a parking lot. Just re-break it down, make it fit, pack it, and then lay a sealant over it. That's the best way to go if really pinching pennies. But if you have the money, you want to go and build your own, by all means.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I love that. So you mentioned security, and you're right. Criminals, they're professional these days. They know how to do it. They work at it. They have their whole craft. I don't know why they're criminals. Like, it seems like the work that they put into being criminals, they might as well get a job. However, here's my big
I
question.
know.
Here's the question. So I know you have security and you have fencing. Do you, is it recommended that you have somebody on site 24 hours? And
You can. It depends on how high secure your camera and your angles are, but I do suggest that nighttime shift, a security guard is good just because, right, if it's dark, people are going to do more things in the dark. And if they're doing it in the daytime, that's pretty bold.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. I had another question. Oh, here's a question. So I put a site in the chat for you and Danon to consider. It is 19 acres in Jasper, Georgia, which is
Georgia.
a
Mhm.
tertiary market, but not that far outside of Atlanta. It's right off of 515, which is a major highway that heads up that direction. The street going into the site, however, is relatively narrow. What are the street requirements for approaching the site? Are there, should we be looking, if we're thinking, oh, we have a great site, should we be looking at how wide those streets are coming in?
Do you know how wide it is?
It's 2 lanes, nothing special. It's not particularly narrow or particularly wide, but it is just 2 lanes, one in and then one out. They're going to change that. They're going to make it one way in, and it kind of goes around the city. So the parcel's big. It's like 19 acres. It goes around, so to be one way into one part of the parcel and then one way out on the other side of it.
Okay. I mean, at least it's good, like flow, right? Because that's
Yeah.
a good, a large part too, is you want a good flow of how they're coming in, how they're coming out. Um, Without seeing it, I can't truly say, but you're definitely gonna want it wider than 100 feet.
Okay. That I'll keep that in mind and look into it. Is there anyone else out there who has a question? It looks like Latavia, even if it's duplicative, there are a couple of people have come in late. To Latavia, do you want to come on camera and ask your question?
I don't want to come on camera. I'm not camera ready today, but
Oh, you're
I'm.
always camera ready. I believe that. But go ahead, ask your question.
So, what's the revenue model for truck parking now? Is it a monthly payment that I guess a trucker that is regularly coming a typical route with lease parking, or is it pay per parking, or is it a hybrid of both?
It's a hybrid of both. I've noticed that if they're a smaller truck company or uh, owner operator separate, independent, they'll just do on spot. But if it's a larger fleet, sometimes the large fleet will actually allocate money to their truckers. Like take Knight and Swift, they will give them a reimbursement for them to find safe and secure truck parking spots. And that's their incentive. And more trucking large companies are getting on that because they want, as a company, they their insurance goes up if their truck drivers aren't, practicing safe laws. And so they're trying to get all of their insurance costs lower. And so the benefit is for them to pay for the truck drivers to park in more expensive places.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
May I have a follow-up?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I heard you talking about fencing. I heard you talking about packing the the land or the lot with gravel. You actually said a type, so I would like to know that again. But my question is about what other services are provided because I'm not in the truck business, but I'm certainly interested in it and for truck parking business. And I noticed that there are truck parking gas stations and they have bathrooms and showers. I mean, well, they all have bathrooms, but they have showers for truckers and things like that. Is that also provided at these parking lots, or is it simply just parking?
It depends on your build. I would suggest if you want to make additional revenue streams, which is really crucial, I would suggest building those. And they like to have those, right? Like a driver doesn't just want a lot. They want to be able to do all their things. Because if it's just a lot, then they have to sleep in the back of their little truck in that space between. They're showering in there, and not a lot of them have showers unless they bring a mobile one. So for them, it becomes this additional accommodation that is nice, that they can get out of their truck and feel like they're not living in it. So yeah, fueling is important. And to the some of the models that Dana and I have been working through is partnering with large fleets that you get put into their network, and so, which then requires them to have to use your fuel. So if you're in their network, they say, well, their drivers need to park here because then we have a fuel offset price. And it's like a different model of membership. So I suggest if you're going to run the business and build it out, work heavily with partnerships in big truck fleets because they are more inclined because they do pay a lot of those costs. And it will incentivize their drivers to have to use it. And then if you have other things there, then you're automatically making money off the shower, off the laundry, off the, Airbnb style hotel.
I have a question, real talk about communities that don't want truck stops. They don't want truck stops because they don't like the way truck stops look. But the next layer is they don't want truck stops because they don't want truckers.
Yep.
So how do you and the truck stop lifestyle, lore is, real and not real, right? So how do you dismantle that for municipalities to upscale the truck stop experience, acknowledge that, there are more women in trucking these days, right? Um,
Mhm.
you're up against a lot when trying to introduce that to a municipality. So I'm just curious about your response to that.
You are, and you want to give it a bit of a facelift. They're gonna say, well, what does it look like? Yeah, you want to add trees. And if you build kind of an outside structure, like a little green area, I've seen municipalities be more inclined for that because they think a dirt lot is just ugly, which it kind of is. And then you're cushioning it with sound, right? The setbacks, trees, things of that nature. But of course, you will always get the naysayers. You will get pushback, assuming that you have to get it zoned. If you don't have to get it zoned, you're going to get a lot less pushback because it's already, you can do it within the zoning. So then you'll probably just have to get a special use again, unless it's light industrial or heavy industrial. If those are the cases, then I would say, who cares? You're allowed to do it within zoning and the laws, so move forward. So long as the council passes your plans, but when you're drawing up the plans, make it community friendly if you're near one. Make it look pretty. Trees, bushes, egress, regress, some grass, they're going to ask, right, of how much water and how much electricity it takes and how does it benefit the rest of the community. And if you don't have the additional stuff and you just have a convenience store fueling that stuff, it doesn't take up that much water or energy. You're looking at 25 less megawatts.
Does anyone else have a question? I actually have two additional questions, but I don't want to hog the mic. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Darius at Legacy Point Telecommunications. We're just wondering about remote monitoring. So it's a camera application where there's a call center that monitors the cameras, but of course that requires power and internet connectivity. Are those things that you guys consider in the build out?
Yes, absolutely. And we have partners, right, for the security, and that is all ran through the electrical engineering and the GC team that I have. So I'm going to say speak loosely on that because they're more versed, but we do try to pre-plan for software updates and high tech when it comes to that. And you have to have some Wi-Fi because the drivers have to do their paperwork and they have to submit some stuff electronically. Did that answer your question?
That absolutely answers the question. Thanks a bunch.
Yes. And I think that there was a question on here as well that was tech related.
Oh, how can I find a list of truck parking
Oh,
operators? That was also Darius.
mm-hmm. Um, Google, but Truck Parking Club is really one of the largest ones right now. And they have a vast amount and they do help with marketing, but our team as well. So our team actually works closely with Truck Parking Club. They are one of our vendors. So getting in and getting on the list, like I said, my email's in the chat, reach out to me. Um, I can come up and help with a plan from start to finish and what that looks like, and answer all the questions, type of team that you need to build out, because it's more than just a construction and development team. Like, people forget how they're going to operate it. That's huge.
Okay, I do actually have a construction question. And again, this is from the perspective of people saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that with land. And I know the first thing they're going to have to do, one of the first things is to have drawings. They're going to have
Mhm.
kind of architectural drawing, something that verifies the soil, where things are going to be placed. It's very expensive it's very risky to develop land because you have a lot of upfront costs before you make a dime. You have a lot of upfront costs before your plans even get approved. What should people in their heads ballpark for the drawings, for the schematics, for all the technical stuff that comes before their project is even approved?
I would say between 150 and
Per
250,000.
acre? Per
No,
acre?
just just
Okay,
in general.
flat.
Sorry. Yep.
Yep.
And those costs can definitely be cut down if you find the right partner. Here's a strategy that I have done is, if you're looking at a lot, like, so Daniel and I, we're actively looking to partner with people, whether we acquire it, whether we go into a JV, what have you. But right now, I wholly own about 2 sites. And what I've done is strategized asking whether that person wants to be in a JV, right? They contribute that property into the partnership because I have the skills, I have the knowledge, and they have no idea what they want to build. A lot of times that's what landowners are. They just own it and they have no vision behind what it's going to be. And so if you come up with a value proposition with them and a good plan with this, they're usually in. And then you can negotiate everything else after that, but you just need their buy-in. And then it's easy to buy them out at whatever price it is later, because you do want to be the full asset owner. And the less partners and you have, I think the easier it will be in ownership. So that would be my suggestion, and how first to easily cut costs on the acquisition side, upfront cost. And it's worked very well for me. Most of the owners are all in. Now they don't need to fully understand, but when they hear, oh, fast revenue, okay, and if they can get bought out at an additional 5 to 8% higher than the land was valued at, they're typically happy. And some actually will stay in because they have other land in their portfolio and they will provide capital to get the project started. And that helps with that 150 to 250 gap funding aspect before you even get into construction. And so that would be the best win-win for everybody, because they see the vision. They're like, well, all right, I'm going to take equity out of my land or contribute additional capital to get the engineering, the site plans, the surveys, everything that pre-dev takes. And we know it's usually more than we think it is.
Right. No, that's a great heads up.
I have a quick question. I don't know if I missed this or not earlier, Catherine, but can you tell everybody the economics behind it? Income, like, once it's fully stabilized, like price per acre, how long that ramp up period is. I know we have to put a disclaimer on that, but maybe some good ranges for everyone.
Um, well, assuming that your lot is never going to be 100% at capacity, we do it at 75 to 80. After it is built, I would conservatively say give it about a full year before you are stabilized, but that comes with who your operating partner is and how you're marketing it. That is key, because if you're self-marketing it, it will take you a lot longer. Revenue, let's say it's just a simple lot, you're looking at about $150 a space. And that's monthly. And then if you're doing it just nightly, you can charge about 25 to 50 depending on where your area is. Did
So,
that
well, hold on. So $150 a space for how many spaces? We're talking about, let's say a 5 acre lot. How many spaces do you think?
5 acre lot, for typical $125 $125 or 125 spaces, sorry, at $150
Okay. So that's 18,750 per what?
per month. So
Per
if
month.
everybody, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So we're looking at $250,000 ballpark.
Mhm.
$250,000, yeah, no. Yeah, $250,000 annually
Yep.
ballpark for 5 acres.
Yep. And if you think of
But
the build cost, like we said, we called it about million and a half. It makes sense.
Yeah. So
but
That's all I can say.
what about the ongoing maintenance costs though? So that's just revenue. What kind of
Mhm.
expenses would you have, but besides, of course, paying back the loan that you know, use to be able to do the build out?
Mhm. If you can find an operator that will partner with you, they will do the maintenance for you and tack that into their operating fee, which is about 15%.
Okay.
And
For a
again,
million.
we have a model in which we can run all these numbers for you. And so if you say, hey, I have a lot here, we'll look at it. We'll tell you how many spaces you can actually fit and what that margin looks like for you.
I got one more question, Catherine. There is a new asset class, another new asset class in the industrial sector called personal warehouses, and they're popping up all over the place. And they're basically small warehouses that people are using for their high-end cars and for their boats, or they're storing their guns or bringing their wine collection or cigar collection. So they are, and then there'll be a mezzanine in it. So it's kind of an upscale but small warehouse that people are using for investment, but they're also using it for their personal collections. Um, I'm curious about Dana or Catherine, have you all heard of that? Is that one of the things you could imagine combining on your truck stop that might be interesting?
I think so. I mean, in real estate, I believe you can always find a way to make something fit if the area calls for it. If it's a designated route that a driver is going on all the time, it would make sense for them to kind of house some of their stuff in the same trucking area instead of putting it at their house or keeping it in their truck because they can't. So yeah, I could see it making sense and adding an additional revenue stream.
Yeah, I can see that as well. I want y'all to keep your eyes and ears open for that. If other folks are doing that across the country, that seems like a very synergistic business model that
Yeah.
have the same requirements from a zoning, similar requirements from a zoning point of view and
Do
site.
you know the minimal square foot? Like, are they just freestanding units, or are they, you know, how
So
you go
I
into like a storage unit and it's like underground and it's door to door? What is it?
So I have seen units as small as 1,200 square feet up to about 5,000. And what I've seen is they're kind of like condo communities. So there may be 10 of them that are, stacked in a line, right? And so if you can imagine like a row of them.
Interesting, just spitballing on in my entrepreneur mind. I see this little community now, and not only could it be something right, where they rent out, but I mean, if it's just a giant warehouse, then that can turn into kind of their own little sleeping quarter, home away from
Oh, yeah, yeah,
home.
absolutely.
And yeah, so now you have this mini rentable
Yeah.
condo storage of all their stuff.
And if it's tall enough, you can roll your truck
Hmm.
right in. I mean, you can build it so it's tall enough, roll your truck right in it. They already have mezzanines with, all, utilities. And so you have a
It's like a
mezzanine.
trucker's loft.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm seeing is they back up, they can park, the little front of the truck sticks out, they have the door that closes, and then you can go up
Yeah.
a stair, and then their sleeping areas and the loft part, and then they can store everything underneath. I see
And,
the vision.
yeah. And also these are being sold as condos. And so it gives them an opportunity for ownership as well. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So it's interesting. So look out for personal warehouses, and we'll talk offline more about that. I just came from Vancouver and saw a bunch of them there. It's really interesting what's going on across the country in that market. That's
That is
something we may
interesting.
talk about next year on this call. We are at 10 of the hour. Is there anyone else who
Yes.
have any questions? Yes, go for it.
Electric parking. So having I understand that there's going to be more electric trucks coming, logistically autonomous trucks and things like that. So what about, should we be considering building out spaces for that if we're going into this business? And what does that look
Yes.
like?
Yes, absolutely. And that would be the smart move. That looks like working with a good electrical engineer and partnering with a company that does electric charging. And we have those as well. So, there's very few things that our model has not thought about and which partners we have and what vendors we're going to use. And across the nation, as we build these out, we're going to have the same vendors at each one, and they're just going to move with us. And so that way everybody recognizes the same brands at the same types of named facilities. So, yep, I would do that.
These are great questions. Keep them coming. Anyone else? Catherine, you want to close us out? I know you have a nonprofit. Is there anything else you want to share before we end?
Yes. So like Danon, I also have a nonprofit which I also created during COVID, and there was a niche in our supply chain that I also wanted to fix, which was the environmental side. And so it's called the Xbox Foundation, and what we do is reutilize and repurpose cardboard boxes for moving. So we collect cardboard boxes from large companies, warehouses, and we rebundle them uh, for cheaper moving. I'm sorry, I'm typing the actual name in the
Oh,
thing.
thank you. I'm sorry.
Yep,
I botched it up.
It's EX Dash
Thank
Box Foundation. But yeah, we provide the service to our community where we'll deliver your moving boxes right to your door. You move, you break them down, and then you call us again, and then we pick them back up, and we just use them a few more times until the cardboard can't be used for packing because they're not durable. Then we partner with end life cycle partners that will create and manufacture them into other products like furniture, decor, fire logs. But right now, um, I'm actually internally with a chemical and a structural engineering. We are working on developing our own um, box that will be used 100 times that is still built out of cardboard. And so the intention is we're building this circular business model where the revenue stream goes right back into the nonprofit. We provide jobs, second chance opportunity, and building affordable and transitional housing to create those additional revenue streams. And then manufacturing and creating in America, uh, everything just is full circle. So that's what I'm working on the nonprofit side.
Amazing.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm thinking about other stuff that I may or may not have missed. I mean, there's so many little nuances too. So it's better sometimes to have a one-on-one conversation with me about this, like specific to your project and your lot.
Darius,
I have one question. I joined a little late, sorry. What's the projection for the revenue for this particular vertical? So the total addressable market?
So Darius, we did a little back of the napkin and we came up with $250,000 for a 5-acre lot in terms of revenue, and that does not include some of the expenses, but that's based on 75% occupancy as a stabilized target for a 5-acre lot. Does that sound right, Catherine?
Yes, why I made that face was because I was trying to figure out if he was asking about the revenue or if he meant the industry as a whole,
Right, yeah.
right?
The industry as a whole was the question, yeah.
Oh, okay, the industry as well. Right now, it's hard because DOT marks there's private and public, and this number sounds extremely low, but there's only 313,000 actual allocated spaces that DOT has deemed usable, secure, safe, and in the guidelines. And you think about that nationally, so there is a large gap. I'm not 100% certain what that number is, but 313,000 only allocated truck spaces is nothing when you think about how Knight and Swift have like 100,000 themselves of a fleet. So yeah, I would actually be interested if you want to email me or do that additional research of potentially what that market and uptick looks like. But I do know it's pretty low right now.
Got it. Will do.
Anything
you.
else? Yeah.
Well, as we close out, I want to tell you, well, first of all, thank you, Catherine. Amazing, really useful information. It gives us those good factoids to research and to anticipate. If anybody has a site or want to keep talking, Catherine's information is in the chat, and definitely reach out to her.
Yes,
I also
I
want
strongly encourage that because you will save yourself a lot of time and take it from me. I spent way too much time looking at sites that I thought had, and I am an opportunist, right? I want to make something work, but in the benefit of other people, I'm like, I could probably save you a lot of time.
absolutely. Um, for the good of the order, the next topic we'll be talking about on next second Friday Zoom at 11 is the logistics of data centers. So we know what data centers are, but do we know what's going in and out of them week after week after week? Those are opportunities for potential routes for you. So let's, as a community, learn about data centers and what's coming in and coming out of them. And we're going to hear from his name is Bill Freeman. He's an ABC member, very experienced and really engaging. So I hope to see you on the next second Friday. And then one more announcement is that next Saturday, we are still have tickets for the Uncle Nearest tour. We're going up to your parts, Danon, to Tennessee. So it's going to be a bus trip. It's going to be a full day. We're going to leave at 8. We'll get back when we get back, probably between 6 and 8. But you'll get a tour of the Uncle Nearest facility. It includes whiskey tasting. There'll be prizes. The museum is there. It is just an amazing experience if you've never been, and never a better time to be on a bus traveling the highway when it's fall. I mean, it's just beautiful outside. So I hope to see you there. I don't have that link handy, but my email, I'll put in one more time. Let me know if you're interested, because we are about to shut that down. So I'm putting my contact information one more time. If you want to get engaged with the Transportation Logistics Committee, definitely send me an email and let me know how you'd like to contribute. What do you want to do? What do you want to see get done in 2026? For the end of 26, we have the Uncle Nearest Tour on October the 18th, which is Saturday. We have our last Zoom call of the year, which would be next second Friday, whatever that is. I'm not going to get to Lions. So that's it, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. And thanks again,
Yes.
Aiden, for introducing me to Catherine.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you
you,
guys
everyone.
so much. I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Gonna leave the chat open if anybody needs to copy the chat for contact information.
Thank you.